All right, here we go. Chapter 11. We're on to a new chapter here. I believe we only go to chapter 12. Look at that. We only got a couple weeks left. Almost made it through this e-learning craze. So chapter 11 begins area and perimeter work. So we're going to be talking about area and perimeter for today's obviously circles. And we'll move on through other shapes. We'll go through polygons. We'll do some composite stuff. It'll be great. We'll have a good time. And what's great about this chapter, we've done a lot of these things before. Area of a rectangle, we've done stuff like that before. And even right now, today, we're going to do circumference and area of circles. You've possibly seen it before in junior high. So I have the two formulas written at the top here. Let's go through those. We have the circumference of a circle equals 2 pi r. That little thing is just kind of like the symbol for a circle. I guess I really don't need it for circumference. Circumference only refers to circles when we use it. But you'll see it in the area one. That means area of a circle. We'll do other examples. We'll do like the area of like rectangle, equals length times width. And you'll see the little shape next to it. But so we have the area of a circle equals pi r squared. And those r's stand for radius. So when we're trying to fill in our answers for this first section here, all we're really looking for is the radius. Can we find the radius of our circle? If we have that, then we can then find the area and the circumference, which is what I believe the directions ask for. Find the circumference and area of each. Use your calculator's value of pi. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. So we're going to be using pi. Pi comes up with circles specifically because in circles, all circles, if it's a true circle, pi is always going to be the circumference of the circle divided by the diameter. So circumference divided by diameter is always going to be pi. And what is pi? The number. Most of us should at least know 3.14, right? That is the general 3 digits we remember for pi, 3.14, 159. It goes on and on forever, never repeating. It's irrational. If you want to learn more about pi, you can always look up videos later, but just so you know, pi is in reference to circles, and we use pi in the formulas to find circumference and area. Okay, so we're going to be rounding, and we're going to have to use calculators. So depending on your calculator, we'll have to use some pi, and we'll have to do some rounding. So let's start. First, let me talk about what a radius is. Again, we covered this when we started circles, but a radius is a segment that has endpoints that are in the center of the circle and on the circumference of the circle. So a straight line, a straight segment, there you go, that has endpoints in the center and on the circumference is a radius. So for number 1, the radius is 5. And then all we have to do is plug it into the formulas and we're pretty much done. Circumference equals 2 times pi times, and we just discussed how the radius is 5. So all you have to do is put this bad boy in your calculator of choice and you should get the answer. So take some time right now and practice using whatever calculator you have, multiplying 2 times pi times 5, and you should get 31.4. It was 31.41, oops, but I rounded it to the tenths as I believe the directions said. And then don't forget to put units in the end. 31.4 meters is the circumference. No, I want to make a cool box. Yeah, there we go. All right, so there's my circumference, 31.4 meters. Remember what I told you guys about pi? How pi is always circumference divided by diameter in a true circle. What's the diameter of this circle? Well, if the radius is 5, that means the diameter would be another 5, so diameter would be 10. So if the diameter is 10, and we just found the circumference is 31.4, do 31.4 divided by the diameter of 10. Magic! 3.14. Told you. And it'll work like that for all of them if you're really curious about pi. But we don't need all that. All right. So that's circumference. Now area could be a little trickier depending on the numbers. Is going to be pi radius squared. Now this one might be a little trickier. You have to remember something with the area formula. We are using an exponent. We are squaring the radius. Can I multiply 5 times pi before I square? Order of operations, ladies, gentlemen, right? I cannot multiply before exponents. PEMDAS, the E is for exponents, M, multiplication. So, don't make that mistake. If I'm squaring something, this is what I have to do first. So to solve here, I'm going to do 5 squared, which is 25, and then multiply 25 by pi. I switched the order. It doesn't matter. 25 times pi and pi times 25 will give me the same output, which is 78.5. So the area is 78.5. Now it was 5.3, but I rounded to the tenths. Since 3 is less than 5, I leave it at 5. So 78.5 meters. This is another important part, squared. Anytime we talk about area of any shape, not just circles, if I say the area of something, the units are going to be squared. I guess I'm not going to be able to do my cool little box technique here. Meters squared. It's square meters when we talk about area. And we can get more into that as we get into area. I want to get us going on this assignment. So that's area perimeter. That's all the work for number 1. So let's jump to number 2 here. All right. I'm given my radius as 8.3, so plug it in. Circumference equals 2 times pi, and then radius is 8.3. 2 times pi times 8.3. Enter. 52.15, which will round to 52.1, and we got miles here. You do not have to do square miles for circumference. It's only for area. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead. I guess I'll use a different color. Do a little bit of color coordinating here. The area equals pi radius squared. Make sure you do the 8.3 squared first. Right? Can't find the squared button, so do that. Okay, so I get 68.89, and then I take that 68.89 and multiply it by, oops, that does not look like a pi. That's a little better. Times pi. All right, so the area of this circle, area equals 216.42, which will stay the same, so 0.4 square miles, miles squared. Nope, I thought I could do it. Oh, maybe. Oh. That's okay. I've done worse. Cool. All right, so there's the first couple. Let's just really quick talk about number 3. What is the radius of number 3 equal to? It is not 4.6. It is not 4.6, but it actually gives me a number 3. This is the measure of the diameter of that circle. So if I want the radius, just remember the radius is half the diameter. So half would be 2.3. So either side of that center mark would be 2.3. So the radius is 2.3 yards for number 3. So when you plug in for radius like we did, oops, like here, you're going to put a 2.3 there, not a 4.6. All right, and you just carry on there. I will write which numbers to do, but I think I might just have you do all of these. It will not take very long. Time will tell. Yeah, you're going to do all these. Sorry, guys. I've already decided. Too bad. Yeah, and because there's no more, it's just plugging into your calculator and writing the answers. Not too much more needed there. All right, these last four are what's going to give us a little bit of trickery. So it says we are trying to find the radius now. Instead of trying to find circumference and area, we're trying to find the radius of a circle using your calculator's value of pi, rounding to the tenths, given different pieces of information. So if I'm given the circumference, I'm telling you the circumference of a circle is 56.5 inches. All right, well, if that's the case, use circumference formula, which we know from above, and we will have practiced ad nauseum at this point. Here's 2 pi r. Well, what does c equal? C equals that. So you plug it in. 56.5 equals 2 pi r. Okay, and now you're going to go through and solve for r. So this is all multiplication, right? So what is the inverse of multiplication? Division. If I divide 2 pi on the right, cancels, cancels. I'm left with just an r. Awesome. That's going to be my radius. Radius equals, but golden rule of algebra, what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So if I were you, I would go in my calculator. I would do 56.5 divided by, now, depending on which type of calculator you're using, I put 2 pi in parentheses so I could do it all in one go. And that'll give you your answer. So 56.5 divided by the value of 2 pi is 8.99, which would round to 9.0 even. And we're talking about inches. So the radius is 9 inches, rounded. I'm trying to think if what kind of issues you might run into with your calculator here. Nope. 2 pi. Okay, so yeah. If you have to do 2 pi first on its own and then do 56.5 divided by that number, that's fine. But I think if you don't put it in parentheses, you get the wrong answer. Let's see. Yeah. Yep. So this is the answer. If you're having trouble with this in your calculator, message me in Canvas, and I might be able to help you. Tell me what you're getting, and I might be able to help you out. Okay, so that'll be for that one, and then obviously for 21, oh, I guess I got to do 21 as well. Okay, so we're given the area this time, so we're going to use the area formula. Area equals pi, oh gosh darn it, come on, pi radius squared. Okay, but I know the area is this, so I'm going to fill it in. Area equals pi radius squared. So now what you have to do is first divide out the pi. Okay, but what you do to one side, you have to do the other. So I do 380.1 divided by pi. Now, either write down this whole number. Do not round this number. I can just leave it in my calculator because I know I'm going to have to square root it here in a second. But you might have to write down this number. Do not round it. You can't round in the middle of the problem. It'll throw off my final answer. So I get this crazy number here, 5.877, something like that. Okay, that's what I got when I divided these two. Okay, equals radius squared, but I can just leave it in my calculator. And then to solve for radius, I don't want to know what the radius squared is. I want to know what the radius is. So I'm going to square root both sides. A square root cancels out a square. That leaves me with r equals, and then let's see, second square root, answer, enter. You should get 10.99, which rounds again to a whole number, so 11 or 11.0 centimeters is my radius. Okay, so try and do those two on your own and finish the rest of this worksheet by the end of class today. Vamonos! I will talk to y'all later.